today's chapter is force and laws of motion. In this chapter, we will learn about the definition of force, the unit of force, and some laws given by Newton for the presenting of the particle which is moving. Now, Newton's, this branch is also formalism from the famous branch of physics which is called classical mechanics. Newton discovered 3 laws for this kind of motion of the particle. What are the laws? First law of motion is law of inertia. Second law is law of momentum, which is also called Newton's second law, and this law is called Newton's first law. And third, law of action reaction. Now, what are the outcomes of those 3 laws? That is most fundamental thing, and why Newton said 3 laws. Only 1 law is enough for the laws of motion. Is it possible? And if it is not possible, then why not? First law, which is called law of inertia, in this law Newton states about the different kind of position of the body. And for the outcome of the laws of inertia, one is the qualitative definition of force. There are 2 types of definition of a physical quantity. One is called qualitative definition, another is called quantitative definition. Qualitative definition describe about what is a physical quantity and how you identify that physical quantity, but there is no essence of measuring of that particular quantity. So, qualitative idea of the force is given by law of inertia, but there is no particular evidence for the quantitative measurement of the force. That's why law of momentum, which is also called Newton's second law of motion, that law actually measure the force. That means it gives the idea of quantitative measurement of the force. Now, for the law of momentum, we also actually derive another physical quantity which is called momentum, or simply it is called linear momentum. Now, in this chapter, we will discuss why it is called linear momentum. There are 2 kinds of momentum. One is called linear momentum and another is called angular momentum. Now, third, these 2 laws has a drawback. That drawback is these 2 laws, nothing of these 2 laws state what is the amount of force acted on that body and in which way the force is applied, and this force will balance the body or not. This information cannot be obtained from these 2 laws. So, law of action and reaction gives you an idea the force, if the force is balanced the body or it is not balanced. So, let's discuss about the law of inertia. First, the term is inertia is given from that law of inertia. What is inertia? First of all, we have to know the body's position. There are 2 conditions for a body. One is the body is always remain at its fixed position. That means body always retain its original position. If a body is at rest, it will remain at rest until another kind of physical quantity which is externally applied on that particular body to tend its positional change. And second one is called the inertia of motion. In this case, the body will remain at its motion whenever or whatever the condition is. So, this is actually called the law of inertia. So, in Newton's laws of motion, law of inertia statement is like that. If we do not apply any kind of external physical quantity, then a moving body will moving with a constant velocity in a straight line, and a body which is at rest will remain at rest. Now, this is the statement of law of inertia, which is also called Newton's first law of motion. Now, there are certain outcomes of the law of inertia. First outcome is the 2 cases of inertia. One is inertia of rest and another one is inertia of motion. What is inertia of rest? A rest body will remain at the position of rest, and that is actually called inertia of rest. What is inertia of motion? A moving body is always tends to move in a straight line with a uniform velocity. If and otherwise we do not apply any kind of physical quantity on that particular object. So those are the inertia. Now what is inertia and what is this inertia term come from? Every body, in case of classical mechanics or any kind of mechanics, has its own mass. What is mass? Mass is the amount of substance present in the body. Now, due to that mass, the body will regain its original position. So, inertia is a term which is derived from the body's mass. So, mass is the prime factor or the measurement of the inertia. Now, if we change this kind of inertia of that particular body, we have to apply a certain kind of external physical quantity on that body. So that external physical quantity which is applied on that particular body to change its inertia, tends to change its inertia is called force. So we have an idea about force, but this is a qualitative one. So this is the outcome of the first law of motion. Let's take an example of this kind of inertia on a physical world. First, inertia of rest. Now, we say whenever a body or a human body is sitting on a moving car or on a rest car, and the car is suddenly moving, then in that case the body's upper part of the body is in the flow of motion, but the lower part of the body is in the position of rest. Why? Because the car is at rest. So initially, as the car is rest, the lower part of the body is at rest, that is the inertia of rest. But if the car moves, that means there is an external force which is applied on that car, and due to that, the lower part of the body moving at that particular force, but the upper part of the body, due to the inertia of rest, will remain at rest. So upper part of body remains at the fixed position, but lower part of the body tends to move at that position. So initially that will happen that the man or the body will tend to backward direction. So this is a kind of inertia of rest.